This is the Monday edition of Wake Up Nigeria, and Brendan Insikan will be joining us shortly to talk about the relevance of pageantry in Nigeria.
That's right, and Jojo Body Beats will also be joining us for a performance.
And lastly, Lamborghini will be right here on the couch with us to join us for a chat.
Yep.
Wow, so far so good, yeah?
Yeah, so far so good. By the way, at the beginning, we didn't mention the biggest event, biggest trending story over the weekend.
What is that?
Kevin Hart.
Oh.
Okay, don't worry. I'll give you guys the scoop tomorrow. But then
Really?
it's all about cheating and apologizing and, you know, it's quite big.
No.
I'll give you
And
guys
know,
the
at
scoop.
first, when those allegations came up, he was, I mean, he was trying to pull up a publicity stunt with his wife everywhere. I know she's pregnant. He was trying to pull up here and there. And then when I was watching, like, Kevin Hart,
What is going on?
and then, you know, the video, and then there was that video.
Exactly,
yesterday.
the video he put out.
I guess
So
Michael
the
happened.
interesting story is that he allegedly cheated on the first wife with this particular wife,
Yeah.
and then he got married to her, and he's cheating on her with someone.
With someone else who's probably going to get married to later on.
I don't know about that. I don't know about
The
that.
life of a celebrity,
In fact,
I tell you.
those ones,
I do
not
think
us.
there's a lot of pressure though, and I think there's
Yeah.
always a lot of assumptions. Now I know there's a video and everything, but you know videos can be doctored. I
Dizzy,
don't
don't
want
start,
Kevin,
Johnny.
not you, Kevin.
Dizzy,
No,
don't start. Don't worry,
Not
I'll
you.
break it down. I'll break it down tomorrow. It's quite a very interesting story because
no.
it brings the age-old question to fact. Do you apologize? Is it about when you are caught? Is about when you're caught? That's when people apologize. They don't apologize because they're really sorry. They apologize because they got caught.
Oh wow.
Then
That's the main issue.
Then I think the devil was in control, comes into play. You know, in the midst of it all, like, oh, it was the devil.
The devil made me do it.
The devil made you do it, and then that instant, the devil disappears.
Disappears. Jude has been blamed so much.
You know, I think that.
Jude has been blamed so much. I
No.
mean, it's cliche, but you know, like I said, it still brings that thing to fact. The 11th commandment: "Thou shalt not be caught."
Yep,
That's what
really?
it's all about. Really,
Oh
that's what it's all
my
about.
You've
That's
just
what it's all
lost
about.
like 3 potential girlfriends right now that were watching right
Thou
now.
shalt not be
Potential, really
Potential.
We don't want potential. We want.
caught. So it's about doing what you
Actually-
like as long as you're not caught. Is that what you're saying?
Wow.
Don't know what you like, but you get what. Don't worry, tomorrow I'll break it
Well,
down.
I'll always
then
say,
there's
if you have to play smart.
All right, so it's...
We need to talk about that.
No, she didn't say that.
But it's the top of the hour now, and IK is on standby for the news.
Yomi, thank you. Here is the update. The Borno State government has assured residents, that's Igbo indigents in the state, of their safety in spite of the growing crisis in some parts of the southeast. Deputy Governor Maman Dokwa made the promise while hosting Igbo leaders at the government house in Maiduguri. Head of the Igbo community in Borno State distanced the group from Nnamdi Kanu's agitation for the formation of Republic of Biafra. And the federal government believes that indigenous people of Biafra is being used by the opposition to destabilize the government. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said this at a news conference in Lagos. In his words, IPOB is being sponsored by a coalition of the politically disgruntled and treasury looters whose intention was to divert attention from the efforts of the current administration. Justifying his claims, the minister recalled that IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu was the same person who, during former President Goodluck Jonathan's administration, advocated the unity of Nigeria. He therefore wondered why Kanu would suddenly change into an IPOB monster who was rather bent on dividing the country and setting the nation ablaze. The dusk-to-dawn curfew imposed in Jos, that's Plateau State, has now been relaxed. Governor Simon Lalong approved the relaxation that was on Sunday. The governor's media aide, Samuel Nanle, said it takes effect from, I beg your pardon, between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. on a daily basis following the improved security in the state after last week's incident. Former Governor Lalong said security agencies would continue to patrol flashpoints within the Jos Bukuru metropolis, and he asked the people to go about their lawful businesses as well. The National Vice Chairman of the People's Democratic Party in the Southwest says that the recent meeting of Yoruba leaders in Ibadan is a step towards projecting the voice of Yorubas. Eddie Olafeso, who threw his weight behind restructuring of the country, says no meaningful development can be recorded if Nigeria is not restructured in two ways, that's economically and politically. The non-partisan group Yoruba Youth Congress believes that the growing calls for restructuring Nigeria are ill-timed. The national leader of the group, Wale Alaki, says that the loudest advocates of restructuring are those who manipulate the narrative to suit their own selfish interest. He believes that Nigeria can overcome any challenge at all if various institutions of government are strengthened to work at optimum level. In other stories, President Muhammadu Buhari has left the country to attend the 72nd session of the United Nations General Assembly holding in New York. Presidential spokesman Femi Adesina says President Buhari was accompanied by the governors of Zamfara, Ebonyi and Ondo states. Adesina says the high point of the president's visit will be his participation in the general debate, during which he would deliver the country's national statement. The president is also expected to hold a bilateral meeting with the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, U.S. President Donald Trump and other world leaders as well. His return date was not disclosed. And for the first time in 2 decades, Ekiti State has taken the lead now twice consecutively in the National Examination Council results released for the year 2017. The government has been commended for this feat, which was attributed to the government's proactive steps at repositioning and improving the standard of education. The governor, Ayodele Fayose, dedicated the examination success to all teachers in the state. And that's the news update. Now we're going to bring you a weather update, and thereafter Yomi and Titi will be back.
Time now for the sports update, and Super Mike is right here.
All right. Great. I like the way you're
He looks like a banker today. Who believes? Who believes? No, like you're going to resume at Teller 2. Like, later. I'm just...
Kasha 2. All right. Okay, so the Super Eagles coach Salisu Yusuf says he will make changes in Nigeria's must-win clash against the Black Stars of Ghana in their last group game at the WAFU Cup of Nations in Cape Coast today. Host Ghana are already through to the semi-finals with 6 points from their first 2 matches in the group phase. The Eagles have only 2 points and must win to be sure of a place in the last 4. Ghana's 6 points have come from wins over Guinea and Mali, who both drew with Nigeria and thus have a point each. But a win for either team today will knock the Eagles out of running if they fail to defeat Ghana. Today's games will kick off simultaneously at 7 p.m. Nigerian time. And then on to boxing, Gennady Golovkin's world middleweight title fight with Saul Canelo Alvarez ended in a controversial draw. After a closely fought bout in Las Vegas, one judge scored it 118-110 for Alvarez, another 115-113 for Golovkin, and the third 114-114 draw. There were boos when the decision was announced at the T-Mobile Arena, and both boxers shook their heads. Kazakh Golovkin retains his WBA, WBC, and IBF titles and remains unbeaten in 38 fights. His Mexican opponent started and finished an absorbing fight, the stronger, and also produced some of the more eye-catching shots. And then on to F1. Lewis Hamilton claimed a stunning victory at the Singapore Grand Prix after pole-seater Sebastian Vettel crashed out following huge early drama. Kimi Raikkonen and Max Verstappen both crashed out at one turn, while Vettel sustained significant damage to his Ferrari in a dramatic start to the race in very difficult conditions. At the Marina Bay circuit, Vettel's car was left badly damaged from the early clash with Raikkonen and Verstappen, and the pole-seater crashed out himself on lap 2, spinning into a wall away from the leading pack as Hamilton assumed a shock lead. And then Barcelona forward Ousmane Dembele will be out for up to 4 months with a hamstring injury. The club's record signing, who joined from Borussia Dortmund in a deal which could be worth $180 million, hobbled off during Saturday's win over Getafe. A statement on the club's website said the 20-year-old France international had ruptured his tendon in the femoral bicep in his left thigh. It added Dembele will have surgery in Finland this week. Dembele was making his first league start for Barcelona and his third only overall. He came on as a substitute in a 5-0 league win over Espanyol, started a 3-0 Champions League victory over Juventus on Tuesday, and lasted just 29 minutes against Getafe. If I'm going to spend that much on a player, guy, you will play through that injury. What you will play with one leg. You will.
I don't know why this is such a big deal for you.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But
you mean that money?
Let him recover and then go back after 3 months.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, and then on to some interesting story. EPL. David Luiz, of course, was sent off late on for Chelsea as Arsenal earned a deserved point against the champions. Defender Luiz received a straight red card for a silly late challenge on side Kolasinac in the 87th minute after the Gunners had earlier had a Shkodran Mustafi's headed goal disallowed. The Blues' best chance came from Pedro, who poked wide in the first half. The result ended Arsenal's 5-match losing streak in the Premier League at Stamford Bridge. It was quite a very good one, Yomi. I don't know why Yomi said it was an insipid draw.
It was an uninspiring match. I watched it for about 78 minutes, and then I just said,
only 78 minutes? Really?
Minutes,
really, Yomi?
No, I said 78 minutes.
78?
Oh, okay.
78.
So there was like 12 minutes left in the game. I was like, well, this guy is.
But you saw Man U's performance, right? Oh, yeah. Against Everton. That was 4-0. So they are now tied with Man City. So that's quite a very cool one.
Yeah.
All right. Take it away.
We have to go to a short break now, but when we come back, the headlines on the papers.
All right, so we're going to take a look at the papers this morning, and we're starting with The Guardian. The headline says, federal government alleges bid to externalize pro-Biafra struggle, urges Western nations to disregard agitators. And then how Nigeria wastes billions on data capturing, with some small statistics at the bottom. Banks spend 45 billion naira. SIM card registration gulps 46 billion naira. And then federal government okays 30 billion naira for identity cards. Voters registration costs 87 billion naira. Wow.
Big numbers there. Big numbers. On the cover of The Nation newspaper this morning, the main headline is Why We Clamp Down on IPOB, Kano by Federal Government. Looters, opposition behind the group. IYC urges talks, IPOD chief in the southeast, rather. We also have a big picture of a mansion or two mansions, apparently linked to the EFCC tracing $1.5 billion to a Swiss bank as investigators access ex-ministers' mansions in Dubai, talking about Desani there. Then also, police arrest 11 pupils for cultism in Lagos, and 50 traders die in Niger village boat accident.
And then on the cover of The Punch, we have the headline, Treasury Looters. Disgruntled politicians sponsoring IPOB. That's from the federal government. Says group writing to Western government alleging victimization. And then, of course, no hiding place for IPOB members in Anambra from the governor, Obiano there. And then still on the cover of The Punch, National Assembly to get 2018 budget next month. And APC plans talks with Atiku over grievances. You can see that on page 10 in The Punch.
On the Daily Sun, it says, Biafra, politicians behind IPOB, say federal government. Police raid Kanu's home again. Group alleges 59 members face trial for murder and arson today in Abia. Army withdraws October 14th. There's also another story here. 50 killed in Niger boat mishap. Ondo suspends 200 judiciary workers, and Orji Kalu leads youth on pro-peace rally. You can read up about that on page 10. All that in the Daily Sun.
All right, and then finally we have the cover of This Day. Federal government sets bid round guidelines for award of 46 marginal oil fields. Mols setting aside some for discretionary award to Niger Delta firms. Targets $300 million revenue. And then Lai Mohammed, Treasury looters sponsoring IPOB. 59 members of separatist group to be prosecuted. Troops withdraw from Abia. And then just curfew relaxed. Youths push for dethronement of Kanu's father. That's on the cover of This Day.
On the Vanguard, it says, federal government kicks as oil, electricity workers begin strike. Nupeng unions of electricity workers, pilots, railway down tools. No loading of fuel from today. NLC, TUC, federal government insists ULC is illegal. Ask Nigerians to shun the strike. We also have here, we'll continue to fund bankable projects in agri sector, says the Fidelity Bank MD. You can read about that on page 30.
All right, so that's it on the newspaper headlines this morning. It was proudly supported by Dettol. Be 100% sure. We go on a short break, and when we come back, we discuss pageantry in Nigeria.